Yeah, welcome everyone. Welcome to this 10-year review of the global platform. Now, when it comes to ICT types of projects, 6 months to a year is a long time. Fortunately for us in the statistics community, things don't move that fast in the statistics community. But we have been working at this for 10 years. So it is by time that we sort of take stock and see where we are. We had sort of ideas and a mandate when we started, but 10 years ago in the data science community is also a long time. So we need to relook that and see if that mandate still fits what we're doing today. We also need to get a sense of whether what we've done is what people need. I mean, and the services that we did put out, is that the services that is required at the moment. So as we're going through this, it gives you an opportunity to think a little bit about what is it that we're currently doing, and what do you think is working well? What's working well for you? But what is it that's not working well? I mean, what should we change? What should we adjust? So this whole 10-year review is about taking stock of where we are, seeing how far we've come, but also making sure that we become more relevant to see everything we produce. Is it what people need? And then also having a look at what is out there. I mean, some countries have moved quite fast. Some countries might be lagging behind, and having a sense of where people are can give us a very good sense of who should we learn from and who should we form partnerships with to try to pull other people to where everyone else is. So on our agenda today, we've got two presentations, and then we're going to open the floor for some general questions and comments to help us, and then we'll close the session. Okay, so Ronald, let me hand over to you at this stage. Maybe you can start with your slides. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ashwell. Thank you for opening this webinar. So the purpose of the webinar is really to give attention to our survey that we're going to distribute. The survey will be distributed to national statistical offices and to international statistical institutes. Basically, all of the statistical institutes that are somehow connected to the work of the Statistical Commission will receive this survey online, and they will be asked to see if they can complete that. And as Ashwell indicated, what we are doing is see if the needs at the moment for big data science are different than when we started out 10 years ago. So that's one of the questions that we like to answer. We want to see in general on the various issues where statistical officers are, what they need, what they want to go forward to. We also want to use this as a kind of a customer relation survey. It's like, how did we do as the committee of experts on big data and data science for official statistics? So there will be an online survey, which is the same kind of survey to all of the institutes, and there will be, and Eric will say much more about that. There will be in-person interview as well with quite a few people to get more in-depth information about how we are doing, if the terms of reference of the various task teams, for instance, are still relevant, if we should adapt that a little bit, if we have to change the course of what we are doing. The mandate that we have for this UN Committee on Big Data and Data Science for Official Statistics dates from 2015. We so at the Commission of 2014, the Commission agreed to establish a group that starts looking into how big data can be used for official statistics to make the work of statistical officers more timely, be able to get more granular data, basically adapt to possibilities of the let's say the digital age. The mandate then, which is in the annex of the report of the group in 2015, the annex has the terms of reference, and that's where the mandate is indicated, which already lists the kind of issues that will come back now in the survey as well. It's like how can we use big data in relation to what kind of methodological challenges are there, legal challenges, challenges on privacy, challenges on IT, what do we need for training, how do we communicate, and what was also in this mandate in 2015 is like how can we keep public trust. So that was then. What you see on the screen here is, and let me is the evolution of what we have done. This committee of experts reported to the Commission every year from 2014 to 2023. That basically are 10 reports. We reported to it under the item big data. Most reports were for discussion, except the one in 2019 where we had an item for information. If a report is for discussion, there will be a decision by the Commission, which basically indicates or where the Commission gives guidance on what they think, also what the global statistical community believes are the most important items to work on. So there are decisions also, as you will see, from 2014 to 2023. And the details there could also be looked at to see how we have done, how we have changed over time. There are some background documents. I also want to point those out, and particularly the ones from 2015-16, which was a survey to statistical officers, and we will use that survey, that survey as a kind of a benchmark of the survey that we're going to do right now. What I also wanted to point out is that in the beginning it was all about big data, but gradually the discussion started switching or moving a little bit more towards use of data science. So meaning that data source in itself was not the main thing, it's also the way in which we work with data. So the data science, which was important. We saw a name switch in 22 from the Global Working Group on Big Data to this Committee of Experts on Big Data and Data Science. We created a Data Science Leaders Network in 2022. And what you will see when you look at the agenda of next year's Statistical Commission is that there is no item anymore on big data, but there is an item of data science under which this group will be reporting. If I go to the next slide, Maria. In this journey, we promoted and give visibility to the work of the Committee of Experts through the International Conference on Big Data and Data Science. I think if you look at the details of these conferences, it sort of shows the journey that we have been on. From China in 2014 all the way to Yogyakarta, Indonesia last November. Many topics come back in different forms, one way or another. But I think overall it shows, I think it does show that the statistical community sort of matures in the way they deal with big data and new technologies and data science. And also the fact that quite a few offices now have data science groups within their office, data science teams. If I go to the next slide. So this is the current situation of the various parts of the Committee of Experts. Let me tell a little bit about it, because we can't assume that everybody knows exactly how this committee of experts actually is working. We have a kind of a management group. In the red, you will indicate there is a bureau which is led by the chair, which is South Africa, and Ashwell is representing the chair in this meeting. So that's more for the day-to-day. We do have an advisory board, which is a little bit larger. We have maybe about 30 institutes presented in there, or maybe 15, maybe I'm exaggerating, 15 to 20 in the advisory board, which gives more guidance along the way. They meet about three, 4 times a year. And then we have the plenary meeting of the committee of experts is once a year. The whole committee of experts has 46 institutes, 30, a little over 30 countries, and the rest international agencies. Now we work. The work is advanced through task teams. You see here the various task teams which are currently active. Some are very active, meet on a weekly basis. Some have less frequency in which they meet and develop. But all in all, there is a lot going on in those task teams, where we have connections, not only experts from statistical offices, but especially also experts from other communities who are helping us, because expertise is in private sector, in academia, and in civil society, and they work with us in the various task teams to produce guidance, to develop training materials, to help with workshops, and so forth. On the training and capacity building, we have also tried to get the building of capacity closer to the countries through the regional hubs. We have regional hubs in Brazil, China, Rwanda, and UAE. And we have a specialized hub on areas for SIA, which is which is physically located in Bilbao, with the Center for the Basque Center for Climate Change. The regional hubs, they started around 2020, 2021, so which is basically during the COVID pandemic. So initially, most of the activities were really virtual, were webinars. But gradually, we will definitely also would like to get in-person activities where staff members from statistical offices would come to those regional hubs for specific activities, and then in areas which might be led by a task team. So we like to have that interaction between the task teams and the regional hubs in the way we build capacity, and also have some hands-on project work going on. And for that project work, we have our cloud-based global platform. So that's a community platform. So meaning we, as the statistical community, can use the IT facilities, the cloud that we have put in place, where we have also tools, so that we can very quickly, if there are ideas, if there are initiatives to do projects with big data and data science, we can do them in practice on that platform with a group of international experts. And that's being done. It's actually very active, for instance, through the task team on AIS, but also the other task teams, like the task team on privacy enhancing technologies, is making use of the facilities of the platform. We have a committee around that, which looks at the projects that are being proposed and see if we can execute them. And also they do a bit of marketing for the platform, since it is maintained and also funded through our own community. We have to make sure that we attract some funds to keep the platform available for our community. We also have a scientific committee. That's the last thing I wanted to say here. we like to see that we have also some kind of quality control on the work that we do. That's why we have that scientific committee. It's not as active as we want it to be, but it is really needed also so that we know that all of the products which are put out by this committee are of sufficient quality. And with that, I give back to the chair, to Ashwell.
Thank you. Thanks, Ronald. I think let's hand over to Eric. Eric will take us through the survey that we are planning and give us the details of that. Eric, let me give straight to you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much as well, and also thank you for your opening statement and those encouraging words, and for Ron just to give us that real background and then setting the context on why we're doing this. So what I'm hoping to do is over the next 15-20 minutes to give all of you a bit more context around the survey. So what is included in this survey and actually where did we base it on? So when we looked at designing this survey, we looked at some existing statistical frameworks because we felt that's like really a relevant area that you will recognize, and the two areas we thought was really good for us to take a reference was one was GAMSO, and I think many of you heard of it. It's the generic activity model for statistical organizations, and it really describes the activities, what's expected that you do from an organization perspective. And the second one, of course, which was published by the UNCEBD, is the Handbook on Management and Organization of National Statistical Systems, and that really gives you also the different breakdown, what kind of step do you do in modernizing. So we identified the 8 following categories as I outlined on the screen there. So we're going to ask some questions around strategic vision. We're going to talk a little bit about legislation. We're going to talk about institutional arrangements and partnerships, data sources, which of course is a very key one from when we move from big data into data science, methodology and quality assurance, communication and stakeholder consultations, human resources, the whole challenge we have around getting the right resources at the right time, and of course IT management, the whole infrastructure that we need to make sure that all this will work. So what we did was we developed 2 kind of surveys, but what we did it, of course, with a lot of input from the Bureau members. So we went out to a Bureau. We also did a few discussions with a few Bureau members just to understand, are these the right topics? Are these the right questions? And from that, we drafted a set of questions. We sent that out to the Bureau just over a week ago. And then we also had some feedback, some written feedback on that. And again, we made sure we included that feedback within the survey. So what we like to think with this is like a project that we share together. So very much we wanted your input, but as Ronald also indicated, is really for us to take that mark now to understand, okay, are we on the right track? I mean, we've done lots of great work here and we want to continue that, but technology is moving fast. So we want to make sure that we continue do the right things, make sure that we have access to relevant data. From the survey, so from the information, and we developed 2 kind of surveys. One is very much focused around for the statistical organizations, and the other one is Ron mentioned is for the other international statistical organizations, such as ASCAP, IMF, Eurostat, and there's quite a few of those. Okay, so we're really looking to send the survey closer play today to everybody. So what we're going to ask you to make sure that you tag often with your main contact. That often will be sent to the international relations team that the survey is coming in. And I'll show you a bit more about timelines as well. And the second part of this survey, with this really investigation, is that we are going to have lots of individual interviews. And so we looked at all the people that we work with over the last so many years, and then we identified like quite a large group of people from different organizations, from different working groups to understand, okay, are we doing the right things? What do you think of the global platform? How can we enhance things? And this is really when we're going to drill down into detail. And we're not just going to talk to statistical organizations, we're also going to talk to academia, we're also talking to the private sector because we see a big need for that. So with that, I would like to take the opportunity to just show you a few examples. So Maria, if you go to the next slide. So what we really did was we designed three kind of questions. So one is very much, as you see an example here, is that it will be a kind of a multi-option of a tick box. So it's very easy for you to quickly read that question and make some notes and actually what is useful for us. What are we doing to go forward? And as you see the bottom there of that page, we also in there got like the option to really expand a bit further on that. So it's often a multi-option with an open text box that you can actually include some further wordings around that. If you could show the next one, Maria. So the next one is, and you will see here on the top as well, like methodology and quality assurance. So it's very, you will see at every page what is the header. So it's easy to filter through because we understand that possibly certain questions need to ask by particular people in your organization. So you can easily extract that. With the online survey, we'll also share a PDF. So it's easy for you to actually to break it up and send it to the different people. But then, of course, we would want to make sure that we only have one response per organization. That's very important. I just saw a hand coming in and out. Could we wait a few more minutes, or is it an urgent question for this? I'm happy to take that, of course. I think the hand has been taken down again. Okay. Otherwise, please raise your question in the chat, and then we'll pick it up. If I just so in here you'll see a yes no answer, and of course, and then if you happen to answer yes, then of course you have the option to actually explain more about this. If I go to the third one, Maria. And this is just like a third option. This is very simple. This is like a question around how do you review the organization, and it's very easy for you just to tick box. So we did quite a few dry runs. We fully believe that the survey is very doable. I think most of you will have the information quite quickly at hand, and of course we want to make sure that people can answer it as much as possible. So we're going to reach out with this survey, like all the statistical organizations, and we really looking to have like well over 100 responses on this. So we really want to emphasize that people take some time out for this. So I will go now to the timeline. So in the timeline, so we're today, the 6th of July, we actually launching this, and this will be followed by the survey that we're looking to send out by the close of play today. And you'll see a bit further on that we want to give people about 5-6 weeks to actually respond to the service. We understand and appreciate that is the summer holidays start in many countries. We do think that 4 to 5 weeks should be like a good time for you to respond to this. We also then need that time really to analyze all the results. And as I said as well about the individual interviews, we're actually starting straight after this meeting with the first interview, and we will run that over the next couple of weeks. And from that, we will gain lots of information, which we need to analyze. We then compare it, of course, and put it next to the official survey results. And from that, we can start making a report and actually start making some recommendations then in readiness for the commission. So the final draft for the report is really to be there for the 30th of September. I just quickly look now at the chat, what questions came in. Okay, I can look at that in a minute. Thank you for your question, Sandra. So this is the official part. Now it's really for us to open up to everyone to raise questions. And I see a first question coming in from Chandra. The cloud concept is really appreciable. Okay, yeah, of course. And then I think we recognize that. And what we want to understand as well is that technology has really been taken place over the last couple of years. So there's lots more access now for us as statistical organizations to make sure that we can analyze those big data sources. So we would be very interested from your organization, where are you in your maturity? Are you hosting, for example, your data in-house, or do you work with a commercial partner? And there will be options there to explain that in your briefing. So let's open the floor, and any questions, we would be happy to take it from here.
Okay, thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
So just by the show of hands, I mean, so we'll run the survey. I mean, you must think of this as an opportunity to engage the rest of your organization, to also talk about the global platform and talk about the products and services that's there. And then one could go to IT and business modernization and all those methodology and standards in the organization and say, what do we want different? What is there? What is not there? Okay. I don't see any hands. Is it very clear? Eric, it seems I've got Ronald. Ronald, go for it.
Yeah, let's try to open up that discussion. So overall, the survey one is to take stock about the various items as Eric showed, the 10 items which normally a statistical organization deals with in the delivery of their services. So we're going to have a look at that, and we can compare it to what we asked in 2015. We also did and this was done through the task team on training, competencies and capacity development. There was a institutional readiness that we did and reported, I think it was 2019 or 2020 as a background document. So we can also have a look at that. That's part of the seeing if the organizations can actually use it, right? All of the new technology that is there, do we have the capacities, both human resources and IT and those kinds of things? And then, as we mentioned a few times, through the individual interviews that that will take place, we also want to know if this committee of experts, if our task teams, if let's say the statistical officers as customers of the work that's being done by the committee of experts have like demands which are a little different than what we're offering currently through the task teams, and how we could adapt that. So I think that's where I like to see that we get some discussion. But there are hands up. Ashwell, back to you.
Thanks, Ronald. Rachel, you go first.
Hello. Thank you so much. Nice to see you all. I just had a couple of thoughts on it. I mean, I guess one was that being in the UN, there was also another survey that we had to complete earlier this year, the UN 2.0, which included questions around kind of data, behavioral science, foresight. And I just wonder whether or not there's a possibility to kind of also use the information that was being completed for that survey. And then secondly, I mean, it's always difficult filling in these kind of surveys for a whole organization, because clearly across an organization things vary a lot in terms of you know how kind of that use of big data and data science. So there might be pockets of really great work, and then there kind of be areas where perhaps they're not using it. But I guess related to that, I mean, I guess the survey only gets us so far. So I wondered, you know, in terms of having interviews and talking to people, we're very happy for Asia Pacific to set up an event, a stats cafe or something, if somebody wants to come along and talk to a few countries, because I think we'll get some good feedback as well, rather than just at the kind of institutional level. So really happy to work with some of you to set that up, if that's useful. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. That's very much appreciated. Eric, that's definitely the sort of thing we would be interested in.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Rachel, for that. Also for that, adding on that the survey you did earlier. So we will make sure that when we have our results, we start comparing that. And also your second point around Stats Cafe. Actually, I had a note on my book to write to you today with a few thoughts and suggestions around that. So well timed. So you'll see an email in your inbox later on today. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Excellent. Okay, let's see. Let's go back to Ronald.
Yeah, also to thanks for Rachel for the comment. To add on to that, the UN, and let's talk just from the own organization. So the UN is developing a new ICT strategy for 23 to 2028, and internally there was a request, or from the General Assembly, put it this way, a request to the Office of ICT of the UN to get a little bit more background information before finalizing the ICT strategy. So background information from the various parts of the UN organization. And what they really wanted to know also is one of them is the maturity levels of departments in using new kinds of ICT. So this is very general. It's not really way beyond statistical organization or statistical part of the organization, but just indicates that that is the kind of thing that we are also looking at. Is like, how are statistical officers able to use data science, for instance, or big data, and how are they trying to develop capacities around that. You will see questions in there, is like, does your organization have hired data scientists and data engineers, especially in the last year? So those questions are in there to see if the human resources of the statistical officers are changing in that way. So that's where we would like to see to get more information. Another last point here, give back to you as well, is that so we will when we send out this survey, this webinar, which is a kind of background information to the survey, we will also post. So for those who would see this webinar later on, yes, please think about the maturity levels of your organizations on the various items that are being asked, and see where your organization, where your institute stands, and what would be really needed to move it forward on the modernization path. Back to you as well.
Thanks. And what we would also like for you is if you could share within your community as well. So sometimes we would only know the stats organization, but if you think there are other organizations in the community that should be part or that's doing data science initiatives, please share or get their input, so that can also, in a way, we can then grow our database of who is role players that we should know about that we might not be knowing about. Okay, Eric, I don't see any other hands. Anything else from your side?
Yeah, I'm happy to add a few things what you just said there as well. I think that was a really good example, which we are already trying now with the Data Science Leaders Network. We try to not just to look at the statistical organizations, but also very much broaden that out within your country, within your region, because we realize that the data science is spreading out rapidly. We also understand that many countries have quite a unique way how they produce statistics, and often it goes to different departments. So it would be really interesting for us to understand if you work with another department within your area, within your region, within your country, how you gather those statistics, how you have access to your data sources, how you can actually keep it secure. I mean, there's a whole section around security and privately enhanced leaks. What kind of legislation have you around that? All these kind of things are relevant for us to understand. So also very much that we can start really building that bridge and actually making that data gap smaller across the world. So that's one big aim for us. The second thing what I want to say, I just looked at the naming list, and there's quite a few people that I possibly haven't spoken to before. So if you really feel like you think you would benefit from having an individual chat with us, reach out, drop us a line, because we of course we send out quite a few interviews, but we can't cover everyone. But if you really think, oh, I really want to contribute to this, I want to help and assist and see, and I want you and to hear my views, drop us a note, and we schedule a chat for that. So the possibilities is there. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. Ronald, anything from your side before I move to closing?
Yes, so this is what you do in lectures when you would like to invite people to speak. Is like, I looked at the participants list and see there are some members of the task team on training competencies and capacity development in our participants list, in our audience. And we'd like to see from them, from their side, in because they've been looking at like how do we build better capacity in statistical offices, statistical agencies to see that they get on the path of doing things. So I would like to get their views about what they think are important questions to statistical offices to know where they are and how we can move them forward. So yeah. I see Christophe or Carrie, or if somebody would like to add something from their point of view. Thanks.
Thanks, Carrie. Go for it.
Thank you. Yeah, and you know what? We shared a lot with Eric. So while the survey was, and you know, within concept and being developed, we shared things with Eric so that he was aware, because we have that big data maturity matrix has a lot of questions in there to assess levels of maturity across different pillars, including IT infrastructure. So those things I hope have already been considered. And when I looked at the survey, as a member of the Bureau, took a review of it, I could see those aspects had been built in. So I'm feeling pretty confident at this stage that the type of question we would ask an NSO is there. Otherwise, we would have brought it up. But yeah, and you know, as we have those in-depth interviews, we'd be very happy then maybe to pick up on any bits that we think of missing or any follow-up needed. Very happy to participate in this, Ronald, and be as active as you need us to be.
Thanks, Gary. Ronald just checked the chat. There's a question there. Christophe, go for it. And I saw Ziad's hand, or was that just a mistake, Ziad? But Christophe, go for it.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all. Yeah, maybe I wanted to give a view from this side of the world in Asia Pacific, where it's little bit difficult to talk about big data when people are struggling with IT bandwidth, basic data surveys. And I'm super happy to see this distinction you make, Ronald, and this shift toward data science. Because maybe before going to big data, we should start with data science, with some bricks, innovation. You call it the way you want, but I think this has to be there, and it's good that you highlighted that. That's one thing. And secondly, there are lots of surveys these days. I know the global network of statistical institutions is also trying to get the needs from the training perspective of the NSO everywhere in the Pacific as well. SPC is trying to capture that. So maybe all of this information should at some point be collected collectively to have not only the global picture from this global survey you're sending, but also the local ones. And because I'm pretty sure that there are different answers to different type of needs, in particular in terms of training, which is maybe specific, but this is what you ask. So for that, maybe we could help to get in touch on this issue. But apart from that, I think it's great, and I will be very interested in the result. I hope many NSO will answer to that. It will be difficult, I think, to get a lot of information, but those who will answer will probably provide a lot of nice features. Thank you all, and yeah, good luck.
Thanks, Christophe. Ziad, go for it.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy really to see again Eric, Ronald. We met on several occasions, several meetings. In fact, my name is Ziad Abdallah. I was head of IT department in statistical office in Lebanon, and now I joined recently UNSCOA as a data scientist. So I have this vision between statistician and national officer and regional international organization. What we are trying to do now in UNSCOA, we are planning, there's a planning now to do a series of training and webinars about the use of big data and official statistics and SDGs. So we will start with 3 webinars, and we are also planning to do a big workshop. And the objective to create this team inside the NSOs in the region. So I know that in many ESCWA countries already we have some expert or people in data science and big data. But what we'll try to do later on, how we can implement use cases and the project inside NSOs to apply these concepts. So this is what we are trying to do, this, especially the application of big data and SDGs. So it will be very important to coordinate together to see how we can benefit from what UNSD did in the capacity building and training material to exchange knowledge between international organizations. So thank you.
Thanks, Ziad. Some questions in the chat. I give that to Ronald. There's something about the ICT strategy. Is that the first time for UNSD? And Eric, if you could look at the other ones.
Yeah.
Okay, Ronald, you go first. And Christoph, is that an old hand, or do you want to? Oh, Christoph is one.
Okay, yeah, so the ICT strategy, this is UN-wide, the ones I was referring to. So this is the internal ICT strategy of the United Nations. So that's a new one coming up for 2023 to 2028. And deducted from that, we will have also at the Statistics Division as part of the Department of Economic and Social Affairs at the UN, which has an ICT strategy. And we internally, actually, with the Statistics Division, have also our vision about how we want to develop our ICT strategy. And 2 words about that would be that we are trying to, and this is part of the UN, trying to move more towards cloud. We have the strategy to be on a journey to have much more use of cloud technology. And the other part of that is to use as much as possible DevOps development. So this is development together with the operations, so that we keep, let's say, the business owner and the IT developers closer together in an agile way to develop projects. So that's in two words the strategy that we are on. But I'm sure that National Statistical Institutes or other international organizations have similar kind of ways of developing. And that's just the ICT part of it, of course. And there's a lot of other issues around use of data science and big data or other data sources. So while I have the floor, and before I give back to you as well, one thing, an encouragement I would like to give to people is if you fill out this survey and you have some stories or background information that you would like to share, please use all of the various boxes which we have provided to put that information in there. That's exactly what we would like to have. Yes, no questions might not really be sufficient. We like to get some background on that, and if you're willing to put in that kind of background information, we really encourage you to do so. With that, back to you as well.
Eric?
Yeah, thank you, Ashwell. So I'm just reading to John's question from the US Census. So I think you made a very relevant point there. So we'll give you a bit of background. So recently we started the discussions around the technical advisory board group we used to have for the global platform and the finance committee, and we're practically putting those 2 boards together now. And what we're looking to do is we're looking at the new architecture around it, what's still the right thing to take us forward. So new software, new methods, new tools will become part of that discussion. And what you mentioned there around software linking, that of course is a key part for that. So when you have access to the survey, there will be be boxes there that you, in the IT part, you can put some more specific thoughts around that. I think the other thing that would be useful, if you have the time, drop me a note and then we can have a chat. And I'd like to invite Sean as well from Ronald's team, Sean Lovell, that we can have a more detailed technical discussion on what we're looking to do and take forward. And so your help would be much appreciated on that. Not sure if you want to add something to that, John, otherwise I'll move to Richard.
No, thanks very much. Really appreciate that. I'll put my email in the chat box and then we can connect if you can follow from there. Wonderful. Thanks very much.
Thanks, John. And then Emmanuel wants to know how to join the data science community in Africa. So we'll just give him the contact details there of the Rwanda hub so that we maybe start there, Ronald. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just reading Richard. There was just a contribution. Thank you for the Richard around big data. And then we have one from Rachel. It would be good if the regional hubs could do more work on advocating for big data science and help countries to make the investment case. I think that's a very relevant one. Not to put Carrie on the spot or Christoph, but I know they're putting a program together, working with the regional hubs around it, or maybe one of the regional hub leads can say something about this. I know Renee is there, I know Andrea is there, I believe Therese is there as well. Which one of you want to contribute to this?
Hi, thank you, Eric. No, great survey. It's just to most of you may know, but we have sent out a survey that's pretty similar to this one. Actually, we took that from you from the 2015 survey. We are doing the consultation every year for the moment. We did 2 for the moment. And I think that we have the contact in Latin America and the Caribbean to send it out. So I just don't want to send it and you send also. So maybe you can have a strategy after we can talk about that of who sends that. Maybe the other can send a reminder just to agree with you. How can we work together to make it arrive to the right persons that we can get some more and better answer, but we can talk about that later, Eric, to set up a strategy, a joint strategy to get the most we can from the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Andrea. Yeah.
Thanks, Andrea. Okay. I think Therese.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I'm Therese, and I'm here working for the national office in Rwanda, but also representing the hub for Africa. Actually, as Andrea just said, we also had one survey to assess the readiness of the NSSs, but we learned from the Brazil's experience, but we could only manage to get 19 countries responding, and we are planning another one. So I think even this survey, if it goes through well, I think we can learn from it as well. But we are planning a second version towards the end of the year. And maybe regarding to Emmanuel, we are also together with the task team on training and capacity building. We are planning a series of webinars to advocate within the region on the activities of the hub and sharing of experience in the works that has been already done through different NSOs in the use of data science and big data. Back to you.
Thanks, Therese. Okay. Okay, Ronald, I'm leaning towards closing. We've got 8 minutes to go. Do you want to have some final statements there? Are you fine? Eric, you fine?
Yeah, no, it's fine. Just on the remarks from Andrea and Therese. So we will send out the survey to all of the statistical offices, but we certainly will appreciate follow-ups in the various regions to do that jointly. to see if we can get more responses. And yeah, and then also you can see how the information from our survey can be useful for the regional hub. And I'm sure the regional hub has more specific questions they will ask separately. Thank you. With that, I'll go back to you, Ashwell.
Thanks. Eric, you done?
I'm done. Thank you very much.
Cool. Okay, let me move towards closing. So to all the organizations, I mean, this gives you an opportunity to put your needs and I want to say wants, but whatever you need, to put it in writing, to say this is where we are, this is where we want things to go. And I do not want countries or organizations to think that they do not have enough. Don't think, I do not have enough, I'm not going to respond. They're probably not interested in what I've got to say. I mean, even your ideas as to where you think things should be going, even your strategies, if you can share that with us, to say, I'm thinking in the next 5 years that this is where we should go, and this is where our needs are, this is where the gaps would be. Because in many ways, that will help us to sort of determine what are the training needs that we should put in place, who should we link up with whom? Because one of the criticisms that we've been receiving as the global platform is that we've not been communicating enough. And that's the things we want to hear, that there's more knowledge that you need on certain areas, and put those down. Say, these are the areas in which I require certain knowledge. But please do respond. I mean, we as statistics organizations, we are good at collecting information, but sometimes we are not great at providing that information. So responding, it might take a little bit of effort to respond, but the benefit down the line would certainly be a lot for you, because in a way you're concretizing what your needs are, and you've got the opportunity now to influence where things are going in terms of the global hub, and certainly that would be valuable information for all of us, because in many ways, many of us in countries still needs to make the argument. We still needs to make the business case. And this puts us in a very good position where we've got evidence to base that business case on. So I truly want to encourage everyone to participate, but also share as widely as possible. Make sure that if you think there are people in countries that we should know about, that we don't know about, please share with Eric and say, can you bring these people on? They're in the private sector. They are doing amazing things now in terms of AI and data science, which in fact, in South Africa, there are some organizations which is ahead of the statistics organization in terms of their data science capacity. So certainly you want them as well to respond. So please participate and complete this form, because this is an important part of us moving forward. So I want to say thank you to everyone who came on to this seminar. Thanks for being here, and thank you for giving us some contributions there. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Ronald, and thanks everyone else. Okay. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you as well. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.